My mobility.
And do that again so I don't hit my shoulders on the side of the wall.
You don't have a whole lot of clearance.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? It's me, Zombie, and today is the day where I finally get to show you my completed set of Crusader armor. If you're new here, welcome to our happy little cosplay channel. For the last few videos, I have been working on this Crusader costume from Diablo 3, and now it is finally all painted. You guys finally get to see what the color scheme is going to be and what it looks like when it's all on. Yes, I'm so excited. I really love this costume, and I hope you guys had fun watching me build it. So if you guys are interested in seeing how I finish my Crusader armor from Diablo 3, then keep on watching. My pieces are ready for a base coat. A lot of my pieces are white, so I chose this white gloss protective enamel spray paint by Rust-Oleum. These are only about $4 a can, and 2 cans ended up being plenty for the entire set. I covered my base pieces with 2 generous coats of this stuff. Some of my other base pieces were primarily a light silver and gold color, so I used some metallic spray paint and covered these pieces with 3 layers of paint. I allowed the paint to completely dry in between coats. I did the same process for the shoulders, the forearms, and all the other armored bits. While I waited on the paint to dry, I made some boot covers to slip over my boots. I pulled out some scrap stretch fabric I had in my fabric bin and traced the shape of my shoe onto it twice. I held the fabric in place with clips and sewed the 2 pieces together using my sewing machine. I made a pattern for the details that would be going onto the boot covers. I cut them out onto 6mm foam, assembled the pieces, rounded the edges with a rotary tool, and set them aside to paint later. After the paint dried on my first set of armor parts, I hand-painted metallic paint on the raised details. 3 layers of metallic paint was added onto each metallic piece. I continued adding gold and silver details to every piece of armor. I made sure to check my reference pictures often to make sure I wasn't missing anything. After the paint was dry, I started brushing on other details. Here, I'm painting some white onto the chest piece. I continued this process by adding and touching up my armor wherever white details needed to go. After all the base colors were dry and on the armor, it's airbrush time. I added some black and brown Vallejo paint and some flow improver into my airbrush and then mixed it around. And then I started adding some low lights to my armor. And of course, when I happen to be using black paint, my white cat decides to sit in my work area. Since this next part doesn't require me to use an airbrush, Ghosty can hang out and get some paintbrush stick scritches. I'm using a finer brush here and touching up areas on my armor where I want bolder lines to be. I like doing this in folds in the armor and other details that I want to have stand out more. After my line work is dry on this forearm piece, I'm mixing together water and black paint and using it as a wash on my pieces. I'm letting the mixture dry for a few moments before dabbing some of it away with a paper towel. Now I can repeat this process for the rest of my pieces. This part is time-consuming and tedious, but it's also a lot of fun. I feel like this is the point where you really start to see all of your hard work coming together. Another fun part is filling in all the scratches and battle damage with black paint using a fine brush. This helps all those details pop. If I etched in any other lines or details, I filled them in using black acrylic paint or a black marker. You can tell this step makes a big difference when adding some black onto this helmet. I continued the same process for the shoulders and all the other armor bits. While my pieces were drying, I got out my undersuit. I know how to make a turtleneck and some elastic pants, but I know the time it would take for me to make a 2-piece set like this would be at least half a day. To help cut time and money on materials, I ordered this set on Amazon for less than $20. This undersuit will help support all my armor pieces. It just needs some Velcro and some weathering. Using my airbrush, I mixed together some brown and black paint and started weathering the undersuit. I focused more on the areas that would be peeking out from under the armor to help the set feel more lived in. While waiting on my suit to dry, I cut out some white linen pieces I would be using for the tabard pieces and the cloak on my armor. I really only needed 2 pieces, but I decided on cutting out a third in case I wanted more volume on the back of my cloak. I layered out each piece and used some fray glue on a brush to seal the edges of my tabard pieces. When the glue dried, I cut away the edges to make everything even. Then I used an iron to smooth out all the wrinkles. In hindsight, I goofed here because I should have ironed everything before using fabric glue to help with the edges. So learn from my mistakes and don't be like me. But surprisingly, the glue didn't melt or get stuck to my iron and everything turned out okay, but I wouldn't want to make that mistake again. Next up, I laid out my tabard pieces and applied some little cross details with gold Vallejo paint. I'm surprised how well this paint went on the fabric and how shiny it still was. To weather these tabards, I went over them with an airbrush and even seared in some burn details with a lighter. I wouldn't suggest doing this part because it's dangerous and I don't want you burning down your house in the name of cosplay. Really, you can fake this part by cutting little holes in fabric, fraying them with some sandpaper, and then going over it with different colors of airbrush paint. Next is strapping. I added some industrial Velcro onto my leg armor and onto my white leggings. I like putting the fluffy side of the Velcro on my fabric pieces, so when the leggings are stored, they don't scratch up the fabric. I also added loops onto my shoulder pieces so they could slide over the straps on my chest piece. After adding some elastic and Velcro around the torso, putting on the shoulders, and attaching the tabards, the armor set is all done. So happy that it's finally done, happy that I'm able to try it on and play around in it. I feel like a giant and I just can't wait to make a prop for this thing just to finish it all up. I have a few ideas of what I want to make, but I want to know what you guys think too because I love hearing your suggestions. Every week I ask you guys to show me what you're working on because I absolutely love seeing what you're making. This week's Makers of the Week include William Zaninga, who made this really cool scout trooper. He looks so cool, looks like he's having a blast. I love Star Wars cosplay, it's so much fun. And you look like you're having fun too. Go you! The next Maker of the Week is Aneldin, who made this really cool Teen Titans cosplay and cosplayed with her huge group of friends. She looks awesome. And we have Add Fun and Mix from Instagram, who showed me all the cool cosplay they've been making for their kids. They look so cool. We have Wonder Woman and Princess Mononoke, and oh my gosh, it's so cute. You guys did such an amazing job. For a chance to be a Maker of the Week, go ahead and show me what you're working on. It doesn't matter if it's a work in progress or a full costume, or if you're making something that's not necessarily related to cosplay, but you still think it's really cool and you want to show me. I want to see that too. And thank you guys so much for following me on this build. I'm not gonna lie, this was definitely a more stressful build, but now that I was able to try it on, I am really happy with it, and I know that all my hard work is worth it. So thank you all for your support and understanding for the past few weeks as I've been working on this, and I can't wait to move on to the next project. Of course, you can always suggest what you'd like me to do next right down below. I would love to hear your suggestions. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'd love to see you back here next week, and thanks again so much. I'll see you guys again next time. Bye! It's good for fanning out the farts.
I turned audio on for this.
Oh, good.